Next, let's proceed to the database trigger. So the function fires whenever there's a change in the database. Then the trigger fires, the runtime gives the changed data or documents in this case, which is because we're talking about Cosmos DB. The code receives that input documents and then does some logic processing and then writes it to the output database specified in the output binding. That's a simple sequence. So as you're seeing in the code over here, so it's called the Cosmos DB change handler. Name of the function is processing Cosmos DB changes. We have decorated the method with the function attribute. So that's how the Azure runtime knows that this is an Azure function and it has to invoke and create a context and take care of the end-to-end execution. And in this case, as we discussed, it's a Cosmos database trigger. That's what we have specified. So we have to specify what is the source Cosmos database that the runtime needs to watch for. So we have specified the database name, the container name, the connection string, and what is the name of the lease here. And then if the lease does not exist, we need to create the lease in case it doesn't exist. And then this is the input data or the input binding. Whenever there's a change in the documents in this particular Cosmos DB collection or container, that is when the trigger calls this function up, and then the function receives whatever changes have been processed in that particular Cosmos database. And that particular data is available in this input documents through the input binding, and then it's deserialized into this particular object, if you want to call it. And the structure is pretty simple. It's ID, customer, amount, and status. Once we receive this input, we can do some logic or processing over here. So we are just setting the status property to validated, and then we are writing it to the output document, which is nothing but the output of this particular function. So the output, again, we need to specify the destination properly. So we specify the connection string, we specify the database name where it has to land to, and we specify the container name where the output has to land to. And the Azure runtime takes care of sending this particular output to that particular destination. So it's a pretty simple Cosmos database trigger example. Real-time analytics, audit logging, cache invalidation are a few use cases of Cosmos DB trigger or any database trigger.